Right. So today we're going to do something super practical.
Okay.
We're going to prep you for a Plastering Supervisor interview.
Nice.
And we've got some awesome guides here from RoleCatcher,
Okay.
a career guide and an interview guide.
Uh-huh.
Both are just packed with insights.
Nice.
And RoleCatcher, if you didn't know, is powered by AI,
Okay.
which we'll talk about a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But did you know there are certain questions that are almost guaranteed to come up in these interviews?
Absolutely.
And we're going to get you ready to just knock them out of the park.
It's like having a cheat sheet
Totally.
for success.
Exactly.
Interviews are nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Any advantage you can get is a good thing.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into the questions, though,
Okay.
let's set the stage a little bit.
Yeah.
What does a plastering supervisor even do?
Right.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide kind of paints a picture.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So it's more than just knowing how to plaster, obviously. You're leading a team. You're overseeing projects from start to finish.
Okay.
You're thinking about scheduling budgeting.
Uh-huh.
You're making sure that the quality is top-notch. And most importantly, everyone is working safely.
Okay.
So
Right.
high responsibility role, but also one with a lot of potential.
And the guide also mentions that these jobs are in high demand.
Yes.
Good job security.
Yes. Very important.
Which is something to keep in mind in today's market.
Absolutely.
And there's room to grow, too.
Yeah, definitely. You could move into construction project management. You could even specialize in something like historic building plastering.
Oh, wow.
Like imagine restoring a beautiful old building, bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
That's the kind of impact you can have as a plastering supervisor.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind
Yeah.
of shift gears a little bit and get into the actual interview process.
All right, let's do it.
The RoleCatcher Interview Guide
Yep.
lists some super common questions that you're likely to encounter. So are you ready to tackle those?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. Hit me. First up, can you tell us about your previous experience in supervising plastering projects?
Okay.
So this one seems pretty straightforward, but how can someone really make their answer shine?
Well, it's all about showcasing relevant experience.
Okay.
But don't just list projects,
Right.
Paint a picture. Talk about the scope of the projects, the size of your team, your role in the planning and the execution.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of just saying, I supervised a team of 5 on a commercial building project,
Right.
you could try something like, I led a team of 5 plasters on a large commercial building project, overseeing everything from material selection to final finishing.
Uh-huh.
We met strict deadlines and stayed within budget, which was a major win for the client.
That's so much more compelling.
Exactly.
You're not just telling them what you did, you're showing them that you understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to talk about challenges that you faced and how you overcame them. Interviewers love to see problem-solving skills in action.
And speaking of challenges,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing a likely follow-up question would be something like,
Yeah.
what was the most challenging project that you supervised and how did you overcome the obstacles?
Right.
This one could feel a little bit like a trap.
It can feel like a trap,
I feel like.
but it's not a trap if you're prepared.
Right.
So think about a project where things got tough,
Yeah.
What went wrong? What actions did you take?
Right.
And then focus on your problem-solving process, your
Right.
communication, and most importantly, what you learned from the experience.
Okay.
So turning a negative into a positive learning experience is key here.
That's a great reframing of the question.
Right.
Okay, so next up, how do you ensure that your team members are working safely on the job site?
Safety, huge in construction.
Huge EE.
Absolutely.
What are the key things that interviewers are looking for in an answer here?
So this is where you demonstrate your deep commitment to safety. And it goes beyond just listing, the basics like PPE.
Right.
Talk about specific protocols that you've implemented.
Okay.
Things like regular safety meetings, toolbox talks, near-miss reporting systems.
Okay.
Maybe you've done hands-on safety demonstrations
Right.
or brought in outside experts for training.
Okay.
Just paint a picture of a proactive safety culture.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they might follow up with something like,
Yeah,
how do you stay updated on the latest safety regulations and make sure your team is informed?
absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to show that you're not just following the rules, you're ahead of the game.
Right.
So mention things like attending industry conferences,
Okay.
subscribing to trade publications,
Uh-huh.
maybe taking some online safety courses,
All right.
but then also be specific about how you communicate those updates to your team.
So it's really about showing that you're a continuous learner when it comes to safety,
100%.
which is a great quality in any leader.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to quality control. The guide lists this question. How do you manage the quality of the work performed by your team members?
Right.
This seems like another one where you can really highlight your processes.
This is a great opportunity to highlight your processes, be specific.
Okay.
Talk about your quality control systems, whether it's regular inspections, using checklists, even quality control software, if you use that.
Huh?
You want to describe your standards and how you make sure that those standards are being met.
So instead of saying, I inspect the work, you might say,
Right.
I've implemented a multi-step quality control process, which includes daily site inspections using a detailed checklist, regular reviews of work progress against blueprints, and ongoing feedback sessions with team members to address any deviations from the required standards.
Now you're talking.
There we go.
That kind of detailed answer shows that you have a system in place and you're serious about maintaining high standards.
And what about when things don't go as planned?
Right.
A natural follow-up question could be, can you share an instance where you had to address subpar work and how you handled it constructively?
So be prepared to share a real-life example,
Okay.
but keep it positive.
Right.
Focus on your approach.
Right.
So how did you identify the issue?
Okay.
How did you communicate with the team member involved?
Mm-hmm.
Did you provide additional guidance or support? And how did you ultimately ensure that the work met the required standards?
Got it.
So it's about showing that you can handle tough situations while maintaining a supportive team environment.
Okay. Let's move on to another inevitable interview question.
All right.
How do you handle conflicts or challenges that arise on the job site?
Yes, conflict.
Construction can be a high-pressure environment, so I'm sure this one comes up a lot.
Conflict is a part of life,
Yeah.
especially on construction sites.
Right.
So interviewers want to see that you can handle it effectively.
Okay.
The key here is to demonstrate your conflict resolution skills with specific examples.
So what kind of examples would really impress them?
So think about situations where you had to mediate disagreements between team members,
Okay.
negotiate with difficult subcontractors, resolve issues with suppliers,
Okay.
highlight your ability to listen actively, empathize with different perspectives, and find common ground.
Right.
Diplomacy is a crucial skill for a plastering supervisor.
And then to add another layer, they might ask,
Right?
what's your approach to preventing conflicts from escalating in the first place?
Oh, that's a good one.
How would you tackle that one?
So proactive conflict management is key.
Okay.
So you could talk about establishing clear communication channels from the get-go,
Uh-huh.
setting clear expectations for your team,
Right.
and fostering a collaborative work environment.
Oh.
Maybe you hold regular team meetings where everyone can voice their concerns or share ideas openly.
Right.
Highlight the strategies that you use to maintain a positive and productive work atmosphere.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, on to the next question. How do you manage your team's workload to ensure that projects are completed on time and within budget?
So this is about your project management skills.
Yes.
Be prepared to discuss how you plan, prioritize delegate tasks, and track progress.
Okay.
This is where specific examples of tools and techniques can really help.
So mentioning things like Gantt charts, project management software, daily progress reports, that kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Those details demonstrate that you're organized and you have systems in place,
Right.
but also be ready to talk about how you adapt when unexpected delays or issues arise,
Right.
because construction projects rarely go exactly according to plan.
Of course.
So they want to see that you can think on your feet.
Speaking of adapting,
Yeah.
I bet they might follow up with something like, how do you adapt your workload management strategies when unexpected delays or issues arise?
It's a good one.
Do you have any tips for approaching this one?
Have a real-life example ready to go.
Okay.
Think of a time when a project hit a snag. Maybe a material shipment was delayed or bad weather threw off the schedule.
Yeah.
What steps did you take to reprioritize tasks? Adjust the timeline and communicate those changes to your team and to any stakeholders.
Okay.
This shows that you can handle those inevitable curveballs.
All right, so the final question we'll cover in this section is, how do you ensure your team members are up to date on the latest plastering techniques and technologies?
Okay.
So this one seems to be about professional development, but not just for yourself, for your entire team.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. This is your chance to show that you're invested in your team's growth.
Okay.
Do you encourage them to attend conferences or workshops?
Mm-hmm.
Do you offer in-house training sessions?
Okay.
Maybe you subscribe to industry journals or online training platforms to keep everyone in the loop.
So it's really about fostering a culture of continuous learning,
Exactly.
which benefits everyone in the long run.
Absolutely.
Now, I bet a follow-up question could be, how do you balance encouraging innovation while still adhering to established industry standards?
That's a good one.
That seems like a tricky balance to strike.
It is, but it's an important one.
Right.
So you could talk about how you encourage your team to experiment with new techniques and materials,
Okay.
but at the same time, you emphasize the importance of building codes and safety regulations.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you have a process for vetting new ideas or a system for piloting new approaches before implementing them fully.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
we have.
We've discussed the Plastering Supervisor role.
Yes,
We've tackled some of the most common interview questions.
we did.
But guess what?
What?
We're just getting started.
Oh,
When we come back, we're going to delve into how RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you tailor your answers
cool.
to specific job roles.
Awesome.
Don't go anywhere.
Be right back. So before the break, we were, getting into those nitty-gritty interview questions.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to shift gears for a sec and talk about technology and how technology can really give you an edge in your job search.
Yeah, that's right. We mentioned that RoleCatcher has these AI features,
Yeah,
and it can actually help you tailor your answers to specific job roles,
exactly.
which sounds amazing.
It can be really helpful.
Because I know when I'm applying for jobs, I often feel like I'm just sending out generic applications.
Yeah, it's a common problem. You might have all the skills and experience,
Right.
but if you're not presenting them in a way that really aligns with that specific job description,
Right.
you might not get noticed.
Right.
And that's where RoleCatcher can help.
So how does it work?
Okay, so let's say you're applying for a plastering supervisor position
Okay.
that really emphasizes experience with historical restoration.
Go ahead.
You would upload your CV or your resume to RoleCatcher,
Uh-huh.
and the AI analyzes it and it compares it to the keywords and skills that are mentioned in that job description. And then it actually suggests specific changes that you can make to really highlight your relevant experience.
So it's not just adding keywords, it's actually like,
It's more than just keywords.
yeah, it's strategically positioning your experience to really stand out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it might suggest rephrasing certain bullet points
Okay.
to emphasize your knowledge of historical plastering techniques.
Right.
Or your experience managing restoration projects.
Uh-huh.
It can even help you quantify your achievement.
Quantify achievements. Can you give us an example of what that might look like?
Sure. So instead of saying, manage a team of plasterers on a historical restoration project,
Right.
you could say something like, led a team of 5 plasterers on the successful restoration of a 19th century courthouse,
Wow.
ensuring accurate historical replication of those plaster details and achieving a 98% client satisfaction rating.
That's a lot more impactful.
Right.
It paints a much clearer picture
Exactly.
of your skills and the value that you brought to the project.
That's what hiring managers want to see.
Right. They want to see concrete examples of your abilities and the results that you've achieved.
Okay, so RoleCatcher can help you tailor your CV or resume.
Yes.
But what about the interview itself?
Right?
You mentioned an AI co-pilot feature earlier. What's that all about?
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The Copilot feature is like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. You can actually practice answering interview questions,
Oh, wow.
and the AI will analyze your responses and give you feedback.
So you're basically doing a mock interview with AI.
You got it. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
The AI evaluates your answers based on keyword structure, even your tone of voice, if you're doing a video rehearsal.
Wait, it analyzes your tone of voice. How does it do that?
It uses voice recognition technology to assess things like your pace, your volume, even your inflection.
Okay.
So it can tell if you sound confident, if you sound hesitant, if you sound bored.
That's wild.
It's pretty neat.
I know I tend to ramble when I'm nervous, so having that kind of feedback would be invaluable. Yeah, it can be a game changer. It flags areas where you might be going off on tangents,
Right.
using weak language or not providing strong enough examples.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it.
It's both.
Oh.
And the best part is it doesn't just point out the flaws, it offers suggestions on how to improve.
Okay.
So for instance, it might suggest incorporating specific metrics
Uh-huh.
to make your points more impactful, or it might recommend adjusting your tone to sound more confident and enthusiastic.
It's like having a personal coach giving you real-time feedback.
I love that.
It's pretty powerful.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about kind of the technical aspects of
Yeah.
the interview process, but let's zoom out for a second and go back to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide also had some interesting insights about career progression in the plastering industry.
Yeah, it did. One thing that really stood out to me was the importance of continuous learning.
Okay.
You know, the industry's constantly evolving,
New technologies, new materials, new techniques are emerging all the time.
Yeah.
So a successful plastering supervisor needs to be a lifelong learner,
Right.
always seeking out new knowledge and new skills.
Okay, so what are some ways someone can stay ahead of the curve in this field?
So the guide recommended several things:
Yeah.
attending industry conferences and workshops,
Okay.
staying up to date on building codes and regulations,
Uh-huh.
and pursuing additional certifications.
Certification. What kind of certifications are we talking about here?
There are a variety of options depending on your area of interest.
Okay.
You could become a certified plasterer, which demonstrates a high level of proficiency in plastering techniques.
Okay.
You could also earn certifications in specialized areas like historic restoration, decorative plasterwork, or even sustainable building practices.
I imagine those certifications can really give you a leg up in the job market too.
Absolutely. They show potential employers that you're serious about your craft
Right.
and that you're committed to professional development. And they can also open doors to new opportunities and potentially lead to higher earnings.
It's not just about getting the job. It's about building a successful and fulfilling career
Long term.
in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to something we discussed earlier, the importance of specializing.
Yes.
The career guide mentioned several niche areas within plastering where you could really focus your expertise.
Yeah, we touched on historic building plastering,
Uh-huh.
but there are others as well.
Like what?
You could specialize in decorative plasterwork,
Okay.
which involves creating ornate and intricate designs using plaster.
Oh, wow.
You could focus on exterior finishes, becoming an expert in applying stucco or other exterior plastering systems.
Right.
Or you could even specialize in eco-friendly plastering techniques,
Right.
using sustainable materials and methods.
I love that it's like choosing your own adventure
It is
in the world of plastering.
range your passion.
And it makes sense that specializing could lead to more opportunities and potentially higher pay.
Exactly. It's all about finding your niche and becoming a sought-after expert
Yeah.
in that area.
This has been such an informative deep dive.
It has.
We've covered so much ground,
I know we have.
from understanding the plastering supervisor role to tackling tough interview questions
Yeah,
and exploring how RoleCatcher's AI can really give you a competitive edge.
absolutely.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to discuss.
Ooh.
So we talked about like the skills and the tools and the techniques,
We have.
but at the end of the day, it all really comes down to you.
It all comes back. We've given you a ton of information today,
Yeah.
but the most important thing is what resonates with you.
Right.
What are your strengths?
Yeah.
What areas do you need to develop further? What kind of plastering supervisor do you envision yourself becoming?
It's like we've given you this map.
Yeah, a roadmap.
Yeah, but you get to choose your destination and how you're going to get there.
Exactly. And as you think about your own career journey, I'll leave you with a final thought. Okay.
The plastering industry is changing rapidly, just like so many other industries.
Yeah, that's a great point. We had talked about, new technologies like 3D printing and drones.
Yeah.
And we talked about how AI is changing the game when it comes to things like job applications and interview prep.
Right.
So what does all this mean for the future of plastering?
It's hard to say for sure, but one thing is clear adaptability and a willingness to embrace new ideas will be crucial.
Yeah.
The plastering supervisors of tomorrow,
Yeah.
they're going to need to be tech-savvy problem solvers and lifelong learners.
So what's our advice to listeners who are hoping to become plastering supervisors, in this kind of exciting new landscape?
Never stop learning. Never stop growing. Never stop challenging yourself.
Okay.
Network with other professionals. Attend industry events. Explore new technologies.
Yeah.
And most importantly, find your passion within the world of plastering and let that passion drive you forward.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such an informative deep dive.
It has.
We covered so much ground.
We did from, the details of interview prep to the big picture trends that are shaping the future of this whole industry.
Yeah.
We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit fun.
Yeah, and I did.
We want to thank RoleCatcher for providing these amazing resources
Absolutely incredible resource.
that made this deep dive possible.
For sure.
Be sure to check out their website and explore those AI-powered tools.
Yeah, they can really make a difference.
They can really make a difference in your job search.
100%.
And best of luck to all of you aspiring plastering supervisors out there.
Good luck.
We're confident that with hard work, dedication, and a little help from technology,
Yeah,
you can achieve your goals and build a successful and rewarding career.
absolutely.